What's up, guys? I look absolutely ridiculous, but this is for you. An incredibly important tutorial today. We are doing Tama control, which is beneficial for every skill level, whether you are super advanced or you're just starting out. I think most of this video is going to be beneficial for the intermediate to advanced who are learning to juggle, who want to be able to juggle spike more often, but also the people who are able to tap to late flip, to triple late flip, but have a hard time getting spike consistently. I'm going to be going through a few techniques that I have learned from playing for 8 years and from watching and analyzing the best players in the game, Takuya, Nick Gallagher, Tiblex, how they are so consistent. I think that's the key to being a good player, to progressing quickly, is consistency. You don't want to be able to do a crazy banger and land it once and impress everybody who's watching then. You want to be able to do impressive tricks frequently and consistently, because that shows how much work you've put in and how much control you have of your kendama. What we'll be looking at today is Tama control. Tama control when it comes to general form and when it comes to overall play, but specifically new gen stuff. So juggling to spike, juggling to stalls, juggling out of taps, multiple taps, late flips, instas. That realm is, you can be really good at those tricks with good Tama control. The first thing I want to talk about is straightness of the Ken and the Tama. I'm going to really reference to beginners, but I think everyone can be reminded of this again. When you're going from cups to spike, you really want to make sure the Tama is super straight. And what I mean by straight is it's on this axis. I don't exactly know if this is I would call it the 12 to 6 because it's like a clock. This is 3, this is 9, this is 12 and 6. You want to be playing on this axis as much as you can, okay? For beginners, what you can gain from this video is making sure that you are playing when you're going from cups, that you're keeping the Tama controlled. It's not rotating like crazy, and you're keeping it on this much of an axis as you can. Okay, so a bad example of Tama control as a beginner is this, right? Because this is really hard to spike from. You'll learn it eventually, but if you can kind of focus on and gain Tama control, then you'll be able to get to base cup with the bevel pointed to you, and that's going to be easier to spike it. Also stalls, I mean, it's going to be way easier to hit stalls if the Tama is facing down. All right, let's get into juggling. So right now you may be learning juggle spike or multiple juggles to spike. One technique I want to show you is, let's call it the creative nickname of forward rotation. You want to learn the ability to rotate the Tama towards you, which is actually really hard to do and it takes a lot of time. Here's an example: spike, juggle, spike. So you can see the Tama wasn't on this perfect path, but it was rotating towards me, like that. Okay? Let's try to get it on a better path to give you a better example. That was better. So the way I do that, of course, I need to know how to juggle, but I am touching the Tama in a way for it to rotate forwards. To practice this, you can do exactly what I'm doing now, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have to grind, and it's gonna be a process to ingrain this in your muscle memory. But this movement is so key to progressing quickly and getting consistent at new gen kendama. A forward rotation is going to help with everything when it comes to finishing a juggling trick. Let's say tap, juggle, late flip, juggle, tap, juggle, spike. That wasn't crazy rotation, but you can see at the end the Tama's around here and it rotated forward. Let's say you want to do a tap to a stall. So what I did is I executed this forward motion skill that I learned at the end, and it doesn't really matter where the Tama is. I can do a long juggling line, and of course if my Tama is somewhat controlled and I just push it forward, most likely it's going to be rotating in some way that I'll be able to snag the spike. But ideally, obviously, your Tama should be controlled before you juggle. The hole should be up. And when you execute the forward spin, it should be perfectly aligned. It should be this way. Of course, it's usually not, but this is how it should be, and this is how the best players in the world execute long juggling lines. So the best way to practice this is learning spike, juggle, spike in this way. So you're on spike, you're gonna ghost the Tama so it doesn't spin at all and the hole is pointing down. You're gonna throw the Ken flip and you're gonna feel the hole. It's what Alex Mitchell does. But for me, I don't really necessarily feel the hole, but I do execute a forward motion with my hands to make it go up and get on spike. If you have specific questions about this, you can leave a comment. But this is going to take a lot of time. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is super important for you to get consistent with these new gen juggling tricks. I want to stress the importance of learning something like this, even if you learn it another way, because what ends up happening is as you progress Kendama with non-ideal form, it's going to be hard to, in the future, learn some tricks. For example, if you are able to get this forward motion down with spike, juggle, spike, look at how much easier it would be to learn triple juggle spike. Of course, the triple juggle is not going to come easy, but the spike part will. So if you know spike, juggle, spike, and then you learn triple juggle, well, it's going to be the same thing with the Tama. You don't need to relearn the Tama for that. All you need to do is relearn. All you need to do is learn the Ken. And right now, I'm learning. I'm getting down bird, triple juggle, birds, right? So because I have that Tama like honed in, I'm going to progress these more difficult tricks a lot faster if I have like the proper form. Okay, the second technique I want to talk about is spinning the Tama. I think in other tutorials they mention spinning, but I'm going to really stress the importance of spinning, not only for two-turn swaps, but also spinning from taps and spinning back into spikes. So spinning like the forward toss, the technique itself is difficult to learn. It's not already implanted in a lot of people's muscle memory after playing Kendama. This is going to take some time. The first thing you can do to learn it is actually learn what goes on. So I have my two fingers and I spin the Tama so the bevel is sticking up. Ideally, the bevel, it's not moving in the air. You spin it so perfectly, like Wyatt Bray does, that the bevel is not moving. So when you go for a spike or go for a down spike, it's not off axis. You can get it right in the bevel. The first trick that I learned from spinning is once I got done the spinning, I did the one turn out. So you end in Sarah, you spin the Tama, and then you spike it. And as you consistently learn how to spin it, it's going to take a lot of time. I'd say 6 months to really get it down, and then within a year you'll be able to have it in muscle memory. But now it's almost physically hard for me to not spin it. Like I always end up spinning it. But now, like once you have it really down, you're just going to naturally spin it every time you come out of a 1.5 or a lighthouse swap. You can see it spinning every time. And of course, for a 1.5 swap, this trick I don't want it to spin, because if I spin it, it's going to end up going up. So that's something that you don't want to spin the Tama then. But for a lot of the tricks and to get these new gen tricks super consistent, the tricks that you see at KWC and the tricks that you see that Yasu and Nick and Takuya are doing, they will be spinning the Tama and they will be using these techniques. But anyway, yeah, the first trick to learn spinning can be the one turn. You can move to the two turn. But you can really take any of the tricks I'm about to do to practice the spinning technique. But it is really important that you learn it if you want to progress quickly. So to illustrate the importance of spinning, check out Airplane 1.5, 1.5 swap back to Airplane. So you can see the spin as I toss it up. And that just is going to mean that when I catch the Tama again, the bevel's there. I'll do it again. Spinning the Tama is super key for taps. when juggling from tap to spike. You're learning your first 1 tap, your first 2 tap. Watch how I spin, and then I actually utilize the first technique that I showed you guys, which is the push forward. So here's 1 tap. So you can see my spin is a little bit off to the side. I'm really working on getting it up, so that's something that I'm personally working on. So with the spin, you can see how easy it is to do a tap, to throw the Tama, it naturally spins, and then for me to do a juggle spike, the Tama is gonna be ideally here. You know, I know mine are kind of over here, but regardless, when I have that good forward motion, it's either gonna come here, it's gonna come here, wherever it is, like with the forward motion, and as long as you're spinning like somewhat up, you'll be able to spike it. And you know, to illustrate again the importance of going through the grind of learning these difficult techniques, for me to go learn 2 tap, if I had already learned the spin, it's going to be a lot easier for me to spike that versus if I don't learn the spin and I just ghost to Tama, and I'll show you why. So for me to learn this, for me to do a 2 tap, it's going to take a lot of time and a big grind to learn 2 tap, but because my muscle memory already has the spin in, it's going to naturally spin off my fingers, you know? And then it comes down to the forward tap, the forward touch. If I ghosted the Tama, which a lot of great players do, and they've learned these tricks obviously through ghosting, but I think the best players they are able to do both techniques, and I don't know any great player who doesn't spin, any top player who doesn't spin. But if I were to just only know ghost and not spin it, I would have to kind of like relearn the toss. Because let's say I learned the first tap and I'm able to ghost it up and then juggle spike. Now I'm doing 2 tap, and I don't think the ghost is gonna look the same. I'm gonna have to kind of relearn that ghost technique to then juggle spike it. And what if, you know, nightmare situation, your ghost for 1 tap is different for your ghost for 2 tap. Maybe your ghost for 1 tap ends up here, you spike it, your ghost for 2 tap ends up here and you spike it. By spinning it, it's all gonna be consistent and the same. So you'll be able to juggle to spike and then quickly learn to juggle to, or more quickly learn to juggle to stalls and to other taps and to spikes more efficiently. Let's say you wanna learn tap, juggle, spike. This is where spinning becomes extremely beneficial for these advanced tricks. So you can watch how I go tap, juggle, spike. That wasn't the best example, but you can see the Tama, it's off axis, but it's rotating very, very close to where it should be. And so that way I'm able to juggle and spike every time. Let's try to do a better example. Okay, bad juggle, but it was a good spin. Let's do a few more. That was really good. So you can see what's really cool about spinning is the fact that the bevel is always around the top. So after I tap it and I throw the Tama and it's rotating and I toss the Ken again, I catch it exactly how I tapped it the first time, right? So I catch it with the bevel on top. So that way, I don't even have to think about where the Tama is. I can just do my normal rotation thing, and ideally it's gonna rotate every time perfectly, but you can see mine were rotating a bit off axis as I go to juggle spike. So furthermore, more advanced tricks, let's go 2 tap, juggle spike. Not the best taps, but you can see the point of the Tama. It's gonna be rotating up, so it's gonna be easy to juggle spike. Let's do a longer, harder line like 3 tap, swap to Insta Lighthouse, swap juggle, 3 tap, juggle spike. Not the best spin, I'll try it again. Okay, kind of ugly juggle, but that's a really good example where when I insted it, the bevel was up. So when I swapped out, I'm spinning again. I 3 tap, the bevel's out again because of the original spin. So then when I spin, juggle spike, it's in. Well, you might wonder what what about the other enders? So the enders that are not a juggle spike. And let's go through them. One of my favorite is Insta Lighthouse down spike. Spinning is super beneficial for this. So let's do a tap. Let's do a tap, spin, lighthouse spike. My spin made the bevel go on top, and then when I lighthouse traded, it was ready to go. Let's say juggle stunt plane. That's a very popular ender right now. Let's say tap, juggle, stunt. So what I do for this is the combination of two techniques that I just showed you guys. I do the spin, and then I do the forward push. Not the perfect example. Obviously stunt fast is a really difficult trick. But you can see the elements of spinning and, Tama control, pushing it forward a little bit to be able to have the bevel on the ground and then stunt fast it. Let's say taps straight to down spike. So one tap. So that's like one tap, 1.5 out, down. So with that spin rotation, that trick is really fun and easy. You can even do 3. But if you're going not to down spike, that's something the spinning is not going to help. That's a new technique that you'll need to learn, and I'm still getting down myself. That's gonna be like rotation, kind of like the first technique, but straight from the Ken in the air, it's hard to get. It's gonna look something like this. Oh, another great trick for spinning is stunts. Stunt, you spin it the same way. It's gonna feel a little bit different. And check that out, the bevel's now on the ground. So you can stunt straight to spike, which is super cool. Of course, there's going to be tricks that spinning is not gonna help. A good example is if you wanna go to down spike, one of my favorite tricks. Let's say, 1.5 juggle down. That's gonna require a ghost of the Tama that stays up. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed. This is killing my head. Let me know what you thought about the video, what you liked. If you want me to expand on anything else. I love talking Kendama and techniques and helping people out. So, yeah. Thanks for tuning in. See ya.